Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, so we are on chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, and we are last two verses. Today we are going to do verse 29, and there's one more in here. So this chapter is winding down, and it is already making the foundation for the next one, chapter 8, and we'll talk about it a little bit. And just to give you an idea, what we did last week was the English translation of the verse that we did last week was, "But those men of virtuous deed whose sins have come to an end, who are freed from the delusion of pair of opposites and are steadfast in the vow, worship me." So there were four different things. The men who are virtuous in deeds, those are the ones whose sins have come to an end. And what does that mean? They are freed from the delusion of pair of opposites. Rag, dvesh and all that, likes, dislikes and things like that. And they are steadfast in their vow, drida vrataha. And they are the one who worship me. That's where we were. And let's see what is the next verse. So I'm going to chant the next verse. Verse 29. Jara marana mokshaya mama shritya yatantiye te brahma tad vidu krutsnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. So jara marana mokshaya means for liberation from old age and death. So there are three words in there. Jara is old age, maran is death, mokshaya freedom, or we know moksha, liberation from that. So mam is me, ashritya, this is ashray lena, having taken refuge in. Yatanti is to strive. Ye is who, te is they, brahma is that Brahman, tad that, vidu no, kritsnam, the whole, entire Brahman. Adhyatmam. Now this word it's a loaded word also, and we will go in detail about the analysis. Knowledge of the self, and I'll explain when I'm explaining the whole thing. Karma, we know action. Cha is and. Akhilam is entire action. Okay, so what is he saying over here? So we saw that there are seekers who have purified their mind and become free of rag and dvesh, likes and dislikes, risen above it. So they are the one who take refuge in me. Mam ashritya, the word is there. So these people are the one, and we discussed it, they don't surrender to any other forces of power. Okay, and so what he was trying to say is that Nikhilanandji was explaining that many times in the initial stages, we worship the Supreme Lord, but we also surrender to the smaller devtas. We do both in the beginning stages. And it could be forces or objects or, phenomena, whatever. And even our own willpower and purusharth, what does that mean is, what actually means that we don't give up the doership. We think, oh yeah, I did it. That kind of thing. So we're not surrendering at that point when we have that ego. And but here what they're trying to say is the seeker depends completely on that supreme reality. Because he drops all other support. Just like that Draupadi's incident, that famous one. How she dropped all other support, just one Krishna Bhagavan only. And in the bhakti literature, this is called Ananya Bhakti, means no other person, So when you drop all other support and take God's support, that's when this is called worshipping or surrender over here in this particular context now. And or you can even say that the person is a jnani and he knows and he puts effort for that kind of surrender. Even that is okay at this stage. Okay, so just try to understand that where we are in this. And I was talking about the Purusharth, that how we depend on our Purusharth and all that also sometimes, and then we don't surrender. Yes, I was talking about the Bhakti literature, that how Ananya Bhakti is the one that taking the support of God fully, no with no other, and or making efforts toward that surrender. And surrender actually means dropping all doership. That's the main thing that we have to remember here. And that will lead us in merging with the Supreme. And then in this verse, Bhagwan gives another reason why people follow that path. Because human beings are always, mujhe kya milega, right? So here he says, Jara Marana Mokshaya, means kind of freedom from old age and death, because these are the two very kind of things that bother us a lot, all the other fears and all start from this one only. So they are at the base of everything. And when we say about Jara Maran, it's more symbolic, because it's actually the change in the world that we don't want. We get unhappy and sad and all because the changes, we want certain way and things just change. They don't go according to us. So this represents the change. So when we say moksha, means we don't get affected by the change. That's how we have to look at it. So the Jara Maranism, they cannot put the whole thing over here. So it is just given in sutras. That's how we have to look at it. And then we saw that there were 4 different kinds of bhaktas. So generally, most of the people who surrender to God partially and all, they are arth and artharthi. Meaning they are, they just want to some freedom from some kind of pain or sorrow or things like that. Those are arth. And artharthi, I want to gain something material. That's how. So, but this particular person who is a jnani, वो ना उसकी जड़ तक पहुंच जाता है. Like जड़ में ही मिटा दो pain or sorrow, because change is a reason that we have pain and sorrow. That's how we have to look at it. And what Nikhilanandji was saying, that most of us, we are like arth and artharthis, and even when we become more spiritual and all, we have the same intention somewhere back of our mind. Krishna Bhagavan knows that, so that's why he put that over here, that is the reason they want freedom from it. That's why they are surrendering. And then we also heard about that some people want to also go to Swargaloka. Hey, after I die, I want to go to a better place and things like that. So we have that kind of intention. It could be Swargaloka, it could be Goloka, Vaikuntha, whatever. But over here, this person is even not desiring that. He just once and for all wants this liberation, freedom from bondage. They call it bondage of samsara. That's the kind of person they're talking about. Or freedom from birth, jannam maran ke chakkar se chhootne ke liye, like that. And these are the people who, what do? They want to drop their identification with their mind and body, intellect and all, and identify with their Brahman, and not their body. Those are the kind of people he's talking about over here. And then Nikhilanandji was just trying to remind us, people might have a fear, I'll become nobody if I get this freedom. No. It is exactly opposite. You become all. It's not like you become nobody, because you identify with the totality. That's where this thing is. So, and then the example, we have used it many times, but there's no harm in repeating those examples. It's like a wave drops his identity and becomes the ocean. Or the other, even better example in my mind is a river becoming the ocean. It loses its identity, but it becomes the ocean. And that's why all these places of Sangam, where the river merges with the ocean, are considered so holy, because it is a symbolism of we merging with the Brahman. That's what it is. And or you can say that wave now knows that it's the water. The wave is made of the water, H2O, that is pervading the entire ocean. So these are the people who strive, to get freedom from old age and disease. These are the characteristic of that person. And then the very important thing he says over here, that the last line of this second line of this verse, that he says that they know me and they recognize me completely as Brahma. And we have talked about it, that when you know that I know Brahman completely in all its facets, So that is because it's very interesting that he says that some people might just think that a God is somewhere out there, or it is in my mandir or something. No, entire thing. So one aspect is that nameless, formless, pure existence, consciousness, and then we have heard these terms Sat Chit Anand or Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. So this is what he knows them. So just a little bit more analysis of what is that. Now these words are going to come again in chapter 8. Arjun is going to ask, 6 different things he's going to ask again what they are. So we will go a little more in detail over there. But just to get an idea that what he means in this particular verse, that they know Brahman completely in all its facets, because what he's trying to say is that one who meditates such by surrendering completely, then he will know God completely. Because remember, in the beginning of the chapter, he promised Arjun that if you listen to me carefully, I'm going to tell you what God is, and I will give you the experience also. So that's how everything he mentioned, and now he's kind of closing with these 2 verses. So just to remember, we have done it many times, but it kind of fits in over here, that Brahman is the substratum or the very source of the entire world. That's what we have to remember. So from the totality perspective, we call him Brahma. And when he is within us, then we call it Atma. But it's the same thing. My Atma and that Brahman is same thing. Or you can even call him the witness of me, of my waking, dream, and deep sleep state. Whoever did Mandukya with us, you remember that. So even that one is the same Brahman. So that same Atma Tattva in me is Brahman. So this particular person knows that the Brahman and the Atman is the same, and they are not 2 different things. That's another very, very important thing. And the very, very famous example, again, we will discuss a little bit so that it gels in our mind completely. Its example is space. Whether the entire space you can take, or you can take a space in a pot, or you can say in a needle's eye a space. It's the same space. You cannot cut it. Okay. But I can say, hey, pot space and all that, but just for convenience sake, but it is one. So that's how this person will understand him. And then we have already seen that how from that Brahman alone comes Ishwar, or means Brahman plus Maya and all that. I don't need to go over, already done in detail. And the entire world comes into being. So in short, God alone is acting as this at a cosmic level and individual level also. That's why this person gives up the doership. And then there's another word that he used. So basically he's saying that this person will know Brahman in his entirety, and he will know Adhyatma in his entirety. So this Adhyatma is a technical word a little bit, okay? So I will try to explain Adhyatma. Okay. Adhyatma is the same Brahman. When it expresses through me, I can call it Adhyatma. But Adhyatma is a very big loaded word too, and it's used in like all different ways, and I will try to explain. And जो हिंदी speaking है उन्होंने सुना होगा आध्यात्म word a lot. मेरी आध्यात्मिक उन्नति, ऐसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, आध्यात्मिक चर्चा and things like that. But here it's a little bit technical, but even the word meanings, all of that come to the same conclusion. So Adhyatma means concerning my Atma. It's the same Brahman, but expressing through me. That's why I call it self or the Atma. So it is that supreme spirit, and anything belonging to that Atma can be called Adhyatma, depending on, the context when we are using. So it can also mean the spiritual discipline, because that's what my goal is, right? To realize that Atma. So the spiritual discipline is sometimes called Adhyatma too, because it leads to the realization, okay, of my true nature. And it can also mean my own real nature, individual selfhood, the presence of that supreme reality in me. From that context also I can say Adhyatma. And we also know that, we have the gross body, subtle body, and then we have this, in that subtle body, there is a presence of that Brahman. So it's an indwelling self, you can call it. And because of that, Atma, subtle body comes into being, and the subtle body desires to experience something. That's why the gross body, that's why we take birth, right? So all that together can be called Adhyatma also. When it is like individualized for me, then it is Adhyatma. And also anything that probably spiritual discipline that I do to gain that knowledge that leads to the spiritual discipline, and that will eventually lead to moksha or liberation, that also comes under Adhyatma. So it's a little bit, encompassing a lot of different things. That means even the vivek that I have, what is vivek, that what is real and unreal, even that can come under Adhyatma. So Adhyatma can be also knowledge of Atma and its path also, adopted. What path do I adopt? Because there are so many different ways, Yoga Shastra, like here in Bhagavad Gita, it's called, to reach that goal. And then this particular knowledge, we know it's eternal. Krishna Bhagavan declared it also. So it can also refer to the explanation that people give for the nature of supreme reality. Hey, what is supreme reality? हम लोग हिंदी में बोलते हैं आध्यात्मिक चर्चा, right? So that's how also it can refer to. Or learning of scriptures also can come under this. आध्यात्मिक प्रगति हम लोग बोलते हैं, हमारी आध्यात्मिक प्रगति हो रही है, because I'm reading these scriptures, so I'm making some. So what Krishna Bhagavan is saying, he knows complete Adhyatma. That's what he's telling you. Not just one little aspect, everything. Okay? So I think the simplest way to remember Adhyatma, because we may not remember so many things, that when that Brahman expresses through me as an individual, that is Adhyatma. And then last thing I wanted to mention about Adhyatma was that, remember, we say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti after every mantra, and then we have done the analysis that there are 3 different kind of pains or troubles we have in this world, and it's telling you that hey, तीनों में शांति रहे. उसमें भी वर्ड आध्यात्म आता है कि एक है आदि दैविक, आदि भौतिक, and आध्यात्मिक. Adhyatmic refers to my personal problems that I have. It can be body, it can be mind, it can be intellect. All that comes around. Just wanted to give a big thing about the Adhyatma over here. Okay?
Umaji, would that be like what we follow as brahmacharya, satyam, single-pointedness? Does that all come under Adhyatma then?
Yes.
Because the paths we are saying. So would you think that or something higher than that?
No, that's what I was saying. That it can come under that too. Anything related to me personally that I am using to reach that path, and all of that what you said can come under that too. So it's kind of a little subjective thing over here when he talks about adhyatma. That's all. I may use one path, another person may use another path. So उसके लिए वो अध्यात्म बन गया, वो उसके लिए वो दोनों हो सकते हैं. It's a very broad thing. See, that's what it is about Vedanta. That's why I always say in Vedanta, we have to have a very broad mind because we can get stuck. We have to slowly get to the depth of it. And these verses are telling you that also. That, when it comes to knowing Brahman, knowing Adhyatma, and then next he's going to talk about karma. He knows complete spectrum of karma, So he knows almost like every facets of it. So we should not get stuck. Because remember last time I was telling you that sometimes I meet people and who say, oh, I don't believe in Murti Puja. They may say, but they do. Because they may be doing Havan and the fiery representative of that Brahman. So, but they don't have that deeper understanding. So that's what he's saying. It's Sagun also is Nirgun also. What the ocean is waves also, and the deep ocean is both are together ocean, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how we have to look at it. So Adhyatma is also a little bit fluid as long as you understand the concept that it's talking about the individual expression of something. Okay. And remember, even when I say individual expression, at a very highest level, even that is not true because everything is one. But for convenience sake, we have to say that.
Okay.
It's like in the ocean, I can say there are waves, there are foam, there is salt, there is this, but together it's all ocean.
True.
That's how.
When I read this, they realized in full that Brahman. And to me, it was, okay, is it that he's a realized person or he's still on the path?
He's still on the path.
Because when you say, I know, and the no cannot be there when you realize it, okay? Because there is not knowing then, it's becoming.
True. Yeah. So you are really deep thinking. So what they are telling first step is to intellectually know. And then at this, we don't know what people are at what stage, right? So here both are included. जो जिसको मिल गया वो भी और जो एकदम पहुंच गया उसके पास, because he has already purified his mind, he's already surrendering and he's already striving. Like I gave Swamiji used to give an example. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, मैं चाय बना रही हूँ, अभी बनी नहीं है चाय लेकिन मैं पानी उबाल रही हूँ, but I still say because मुझे चाय बनने वाली है बस, because I'm doing everything correctly.
But that purpose you're doing.
Yes, yeah. So this person is also somewhere like that, Yeah.
So Umaji, this word adhyay, that also comes from adhyatma.
Say that again.
The word, like adhyay, we say chapter.
I'm not a Sanskrit expert, so I won't know about that. But the root word may be the same, true. But adhyatma हम सब हिंदी speaking वालों ने सुना है ये word, right? आध्यात्मिक उन्नति, आध्यात्मिक चर्चा, अध्यात्म में ऐसा बोलते हैं. It's something to do with spirituality. Okay, but here they are when we say technical word of adhyatma in Vedanta, when that Brahman is expressing through me, then that's how we have to look at adhyatma.
I think Neeluji wanted to say something.
Yes, Neeluji. बोलिए.
आपने एक्सप्लेन किया था कि जो लोग मूर्ति पूजा नहीं करते वो अग्नि हवन जब करते हैं तो यू आर इक्वेटिंग अग्नि with the murti puja. Please explain that to me.
See, murti is nothing but a symbol. See, after learning Bhagavad Gita, I know that God cannot be just in the murti, correct? But what I'm doing is I'm invoking, because my mind cannot function in a void, right? So that's why I'm symbolizing that and I'm looking at, that's why we all love Krishna Bhagwan so much. It's so easy to focus on Krishna Bhagwan, because he's a symbol of that Brahman, but I can relate to him, right? So these people who say, I don't believe in Murti Puja, they may be doing Havan, they may be doing Om Upasana, so that Agni also that they do, उसमें जो पूजा करते हैं अग्नि की और उसमें वो डालते हैं, वो भी तो एक भगवान का ही सिंबल है ना. इसके लिए वो लोग कर रहे हैं. वो कहाँ से आई अग्नि? They are not, they are not doing, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have heard that when you go to a temple in India and when an idol is placed someplace, they actually place the idol where there is a magnetic energy and a magnetic force. So I think that is also something that we experience when we go to a temple with an idol.
True. So what you are absolutely right, so there are a lot of other facets in that, but what mainly I was trying to say that Om also is a symbol of that Brahman, correct, Neeluji? That we studied that, right? So whether you are doing a murti or a symbol or a fire, all three are symbols. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that when he's telling over here that, hey, you should know me in entirety, that's what it means. Om भी ब्राह्मण का सिंबल है, अग्नि भी ब्राह्मण का सिंबल है, कोई बोलेगा सूर्य, it's fine, no problem. सूर्य is also, सूर्य में we learned that सूर्य में जो तेज है वो कहाँ से आया, इसी चैप्टर में उन्होंने बताया था earlier, वो मेरे से ही आया है. So that's why in India you can pick up anything to worship. You can pick up water. You can, नदियों को लोग worship करते हैं, पेड़ पौधों को worship करते हैं, and anything you want to do it. But then when people have confusion in their head that, oh, I don't believe in this, then they don't know the Brahman to the full extent. That's all I'm saying. Brahman can be this way or that way, both. See, it's like I told you, dance and dancer. You can go out and, if you're a dancer, you can go out and dance, but then you get tired and you go to sleep. So what does that mean? You're not a dancer? No, it isn't. Your potentiality is still there. Tomorrow morning you'll get up and dance again. So that is an expression, So, yeah. Okay, so any other question about this Adhyatma, or should I go forward? So now the next thing is karma he talks about. He says that this person knows karma to the full extent. So what does that mean now? There are 3 chapters on karma yoga that we have finished. Okay, 3, 4, and 5. So this person knows the whole spectrum of karma. One is a simple thing, as you sow, so shall you reap and all that. But he becomes, he knows what to do, what not to do, and all that. And, how to, that the results are not in his hand. So that's why he never focuses on it when he's doing action. That doesn't mean you don't plan. You plan your work. You should, weigh whatever pros and cons. But while working, don't have an eye on the result. That's what that whole verse was about in Karmanyevadhikarasya. And there is another very, very important verse in chapter 3, I think. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Dexterity in action. He is so kushal. जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, वो एकदम कर्म में कुशल होता है. He knows everything of all the different aspects. And it's called integrated personality. जो बोलते हैं ना, मन, वचन और एक्शन से सेम चीज करता है वो. हम लोग को वैसे लोग बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं होते जो मन में कुछ और है, करते कुछ और है, right? So this person is all together like a straight line, and that's what Arjuna was actually. That's how the Arjavam is his. उससे वो अर्जुन word आया है, straightforward person. That's what this person is. And that also means जो कर्म योग में एकदम स्थापित होता है, that person has his mind and intellect in his control. Remember, we saw that. Senses, mind, and intellect, everything is under his control. So, and then he knows extremely well that everything is happening in the world with Prakriti, right? And Prakriti is what? Coming from the Bhagwan only. It's a power of Bhagwan. So in the end, everything is happening because of Bhagwan. So various actions can be happening in this world, in the cosmos and all that, under the karmic law. And whether it is happening from the individual level or cosmic level, both are Brahma only. This is kind of thing he knows. And Nikhilanandji gave a very good example. I also use that example, even with the children, because it always works. This drama is happening in the cosmos, right? And we are like actors. Okay, so now just think of a scenario with this actor. When he's acting in a film, he may be doing 10 different films, right? And in each one he'll have a different role, but he's the same person, but he's doing the role, but he never forgets who he is. Huh? That's why he can do such a good role. And the day he's going to forget, they will take him in a mental asylum. In a sense, he did the famous Amitabh Bachchan became a coolie. And then he comes home and he tells his wife, मैं तो coolie हूँ. तो बोले क्या दिमाग खराब हो गया? You're Amitabh Bachchan. अपना coolie वूली जाके बाद में उधर ही करना. Okay? That's what happens to us, according to Nikhilan. We forget. और हम लोग अपने character में इतना घुस जाते हैं, and we start getting so upset and all that. Hey, just play your role perfectly. You're not here permanently. This is a stage of this cosmos that you have just come to have a little fun. It's hard.
We are playing the role. At one point, you're a grandmother playing with your grandson. Right?
True, but if
you're a husband and a wife, you're playing the role of a wife, or of all the different. We are. I look it as a series going on, and I'm just playing. I'm watching all that. Is my body playing different roles in every time?
Yes, that's a very good example. Within one life also we play so many roles, correct? Yeah. But if I start giving one role more importance, उसमें भी trouble आ जाएगा, right? If I think मैं खाली grandma हूँ और कुछ हुई नहीं, तो फिर मैं गीता क्लास भी नहीं कर पाऊंगी.
At the office, you're employed.
Correct.
At home, you're something, So different. We are playing different roles all the time.
What they are telling here is basically, you don't forget that you are that Atman. That's all they are saying. So what basically happens is that we, even with these roles, we may get so caught up in it that we forget. And कितना भी अच्छा role हो, एक दिन तो खत्म होगा ही. The film never goes on forever. He has to take up another film. नहीं तो उसका career ही खत्म हो जाएगा. So that's what it is. So the actor example is a very good one. And in fact, about the children also. Remember, I had sent one Khalil Gibran ka, on children, how profound it was. The children come through you; they are not yours. So what our teacher used to say, Darshana Ben used to say, you should be like a babysitter. Don't think that the children are yours. It's hard because when my boy, my son, my daughter, my grandchild. No. From that highest perspective, you are just a babysitter. Be a very good babysitter. That's all. But don't think that they are just yours, because then there'll be a lot of problems. They also don't like when we get so overly, helicopter mom. That movie was there, hovering over them all the time. Even little kids don't like. They need their freedom too.
So to come to that stage, Umaji, I mean, how easy is that?
The thing is, this is what it is, Urmilji. If we don't even contemplate upon it, we will not even get there. We will not even know there is something else out there. Now the saints and sages, Krishna Bhagavan is saying, everybody is saying. So at least we'll make an effort. And at least back of the mind, we will know. So that's what it is. So what he's trying to say over here is that this realized master at the highest level understand the entire mystery of karma, and it's like something bad happens from the worldly perspective, he's not going to get disturbed. I'll say, okay, kuch karma, like somebody we were discussing, if somebody does really something bad to us and we just cannot swallow it, we can at least say, maybe I have done something bad to him in my previous life. Then suddenly, a little bit peace you get. Because sometimes you say, why? Why this person is behaving like that? Hey, maybe I have done worse things to him. I don't know. So that's what it is. This person is relaxed about it. We get all disturbed. So this is what this verse is all about. And so basically, there are, in the next verse, there'll be some other terms. Adi Devam, Adi Bhutam, Adi Agnam. I don't want to confuse you, but there are 6 things, 6 terms that are mentioned. Brahman, Karma, Adhyatma, Adi Bhut, Adi Dev, and Adi Agna. So in this verse 29, already Brahman, Karma, and Adhyatma explained. The other 3. And then when we go to chapter 8, Arjun still doesn't know all these things, and he's going to ask Krishna Bhagavan, hey, what are these? Can you please? And Krishna Bhagavan is going to tell his own definition over there, which is going to be very profound, and we will have more analysis over here. But this is what over here. The main idea is that the word samagram is like everything. From every facets, he will understand everything. That's what it is. Not just part of it and get... When you know only a part, you get fanatic about it. My way or the only highway. This person is not fanatic because you understand from every aspect. So before we go read Swamiji's commentary, is there any other comment or question, or anybody wants to add anything? Okay, who's the volunteer to read? Neeluji? Unmute, Neeluji. It's not unmuted.
Those who strive for liberation from old age and death, taking refuge in me, they realize in full that Brahman, the whole knowledge of the self and all actions. Shall I carry on?
Yeah.
Those who thus strive diligently to cleanse their hearts of their wrong tendencies and thus train their minds purified for higher contemplation upon the self, do so in order to gain freedom from old age and death. Modern world is also striving to discover methods of arresting death and avoiding old age. This physical continuity of existence in the world is not the goal that has been hinted at here in the science of spiritual evolution.
So firstly, the first part of the paragraph, he explained, from the previous verse, that these are the people who strive diligently to cleanse their heart of wrong tendencies. They are striving for that because they have understood at the intellectual level, and now they want to experience it, so they are doing it. And then bring their mind to so purified for higher contemplation. That's one part. And then when the part over here that, Jara Marana Mokshaya, that from old age and death, he's just saying, how there are modern companies over here. I don't know, एक company है cryogen करके, हाँ, वो क्या बोलती है कि भाई तुम्हारा जो डेड बॉडी है ना उसको प्रिजर्व करेंगे, तुम पता नहीं कितना सारा पैसा दो उनको, thousands of dollars. What is the hope? One day you will become, we will have a technology to make it alive. I mean, to me it's so nonsensical, like लोग बुद्धू भी बन जाते हैं. It's like कितना भी कोई कुछ कर ले, physical body is gonna go. That's not what they're talking about. When they say freedom from death, that is gonna go. Even Krishna Bhagavan's body, he dropped it. So they are talking about moksha means, freedom, connecting to that higher, so I don't get disturbed by the changes. And, I happily go into my next, phase of life because I'll get a new body. It's like मेरी पुरानी खटारा कार, उसको मैं कितना ठीक करूँगी? I might as well get a new one, But so they just clarifying over here. They don't get confused that, some of them, Amar Banna means, never drop that body. That's what all those asuras did. They कितने भी उन्होंने पूजा की, क्या बोलते हैं, तपस किया, एंड में जब उनके सामने भगवान आए, मेरे को अमर बना दो बस. और उन्होंने तास्तु बोल भी दिया तो भी वो अमर नहीं बने. क्योंकि then they said, no, we cannot do that. Okay, make me in such a way that nobody can defeat me. तभी तथास्तु बोला था, sorry. अमर मनाने के लिए किसी को नहीं बोला, लेकिन हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ ट्रिक उनके पाँव के नीचे होता है. Brahma ji, Shiv ji, and especially Vishnu ji is very, very smart. He knows how to get to them. Everybody's clear over here about that, yes.
Birth, growth, disease, decay, and death are the natural modifications that come into the life of every man or being, living in a given manifestation to the ripe old age of its full existence. Such modifications as experiences of change are the on-age agonizing sources of groaning pains. But for this change, a complete and unbroken happiness could be our lot. The attempt of a spiritual seeker in his meditation upon the self is to get over all his identifications with the realm of change, and the entire province of change is indicated by these two familiar terms, old age and death.
So I discussed that already, that when the old age and death is talking about every kind of change in this world. And so what basically is the goal is to connect with that higher and drop our identification with it, with our body and all. And the reason we feel the pain, because we are super identified with our body, mind, and intellect. We just think this is it. That's why we are having it. And then we know that in chapter 2, Krishna Bhagwan talked about, discarding old clothes. We know we are getting new ones, so we don't have that kind of, we very happily give it away to Goodwill or whatever, and we don't get attached to our old clothes. Or if they are torn, we might just throw them away, because we're getting the new one. Same way, the body also, you get the new body, but it's hard too, because we may say, we may intellectually know, somewhere deep we are still identified, but the more we meditate and all, the identification will keep breaking. And then we know that he talked about birth, growth, disease, decay, and death, because half of the class, more than half, is senior citizen over here. Nobody needs to tell us more than what this means. We are already in that phase of it. There are a couple of young guys, Anjali and Anjuji, they are younger over here. But anyway, still you can contemplate. The earlier we contemplate, the more ready we will be to face all these things. That's all it is.
Maji, when Sadhguru says, meditate on, I am not the body, I'm not even the mind. Is that what he's talking about?
Absolutely, 100% he's talking about that. Because he got his own experience, right? On that Chamundi hill, he got the experience of oneness, and he knows that he is not the body. So that's exactly what he's saying. See, if you go, all the Eastern religions say the same thing. All of them. Yeah. That's what they mean.
Such a true meditator, meditating upon the self, comes to realize his identity and oneness with the conscious principle in him, the self. The self in the individual Atman is the eternal truth, which is the substratum for the whole universe, Brahman. To realize the self is to become the Brahman.
Okay, it's not Brahma. Wait, let me correct this over here, because this is very important. Brahman, that's how we say it. Brahman or Brahma is the same, okay? But when he say Brahma, that is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. He's not talking about that. And then there is one Brahman also, among the 4 different Varna Vyavastha. So when we say Brahman, so we should pronounce it Brahman, that's all. So that we don't have that confusion in our head. He's talking about that pure Brahman or pure truth, pure reality, whatever you want to call it, God in its pure form. Sorry, Anya, go ahead.
No, not at all. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
To realize the self is to become the Brahman, since the self in the individual is the one self everywhere. This one duality of the truth is implied here in this stanza when it declares that those who meditate upon me, the self, come to know Brahman.
Okay, good. So non-duality of the truth. So it is like, one without the second. You've heard about that term, right? That does not have. So, it's a very hard for us to comprehend that, but we have heard it so many times, we at least intellectually understand this. And the best example is space. Nothing can be better example than, you can't cut the space, but still we use the other smaller parts of space for utility purpose, yes, but otherwise you cannot cut the space. So that is one. So when he talks about the self, that's what it means. The conscious principle, which is, and it is the same as we call Atman or Brahman, substratum of the whole universe. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
When an ordinary man of the world, intelligent and sincere though he might be, comes to read and understand Vedanta, he is apt to come to the hasty conclusion that the realization of the Brahman is, indeed, a glorious achievement, but that it has nothing to do with the life in the world thereafter. In short, it is the general micro-conception in Hinduism that the religious man must leave the world and live in a strange realm of his own, self-exiled from the destinies of joys and sorrows, problems and achievements, failures and successes of the society in which he lives.
Is it
such a
sorry, the
paragraph?
Paragraph didn't end?
Paragraph ended, but I just added that it's such a profound paragraph.
Yes. So the word is, do you have misconception or microconception? It should be misconception. In the Okay. So general misconception in Hinduism, that in my book it's misconception, that fits better with this. So what they are trying to say is that sorry.
You are right.
Huh?
You are right.
Okay, misconception. हाँ. So misconception क्या है हिंदुइज्म में कि भाई जिसको ये achievement, the person who is, जिसको जीवन मुक्ति मिल गई, he has nothing to do with the world, or we think he'll sit in the gufa and do nothing and all that. And that's why Swamiji said that as though he's self-exiled from the destinies of joys and sorrows, problems, उसको कुछ मतलब ही नहीं है उससे. And here they are saying ulta. उसको बहुत मतलब है. Because, Bhagavad Gita is like, karma pradhan, in a sense that they don't want you to drop what you are doing. Just change your attitude and you can still be in fact, what Swamiji is going to mention, that this person who is self-realized is such a man of action that when he does work, it will be glorious. It will help society. And we see all these saints and sages, how much work they do. Look at Shri Ravi Shankar ji, or look at Sadhguru, Ramdev Baba and all that. They have gone heights in spirituality, but they have come back and given to society enormous, we can't even imagine. Or somebody like Shankaracharya. By 32, he had done so much. Or Vivekananda, my God. The list goes on. From India, there is no end to it. So that's why he's saying that he knows, he's going to explain in the next verse that this person is so efficient that we can't even dream about. So even if you don't want anything else, just to become efficient, we should do the Bhagavad Gita. Then of course it will rope you in and you will go higher and higher. But or kuch nahi to, hey, whatever I'm doing, I want to do it better. And that you can get it from here. Okay.
This dire misconception has brought about more slur upon our culture than anything else. That the man of realization is not thereafter an impotent fool in the worldly transactions has been clearly brought out here. When Krishna says that the perfected one not only realizes the all-pervading self, but at once comprehends the working of the psychological forces, adhyatma, in him and becomes proficient in all activities, karma. It is very well realized by all men of experience that he alone can serve the world, who has a full and complete knowledge of the psychology of the world and has also a perfect control over his own mind. A man of harmonious perfection is the fittest instrument to sing the song of truth, and such an individual must be the best integrated personality, smart and efficient in all activities.
So again, this one is, it explains so beautiful, right? Swamiji's, the way he explained is just marvelous. That, he knows this working of psychological forces within him, that's adhyatma. So he actually used such a nice word, because I had explained in so many different words, and Swamiji just, psychological forces in him, and proficient in all activities. And then he knows, outside world very nicely, psychology of the outside world. तो वो बुद्धू नहीं है कोई, कि उसको दुनिया से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. He knows, कौन कैसा है, who's cheating, who's not, everything he knows, and he has a perfect control over his mind. So that's why he can manage. नहीं तो हम लोग थोड़ी थोड़ी बात में गुस्सा हो जाएंगे, ये हो जाएंगे. That person is cool. वो गुस्सा भी करेगा तो he will use the गुस्सा as a tool. He's not, उसमें बह नहीं जाएगा वो. Because sometimes people say, hey, does that mean that these realized people never get angry? No, they do. They will. But to correct you, it's like a small child is doing something really bad, and you have to be a little strong to stop him, So that's what it is. Harmonious perfection, fittest instrument, to sing the song of the truth means here Krishna Bhagwan, he's mentioning that he's the one who's telling us how to be, because he's the right instrument to tell us. And integrated personality, smart and efficient in all activities. He just summed it all up, So, and then Swamiji used to call it, man of action downtown, because, person like in America, you go and work in downtown, he can be still, a realized soul. Just like Arjuna, he picked Arjuna, man of action. So.
Maji, also, in order to understand the psychology of the world, he has to first see oneness in everything.
Yes, means his vision expands so much, that's why he doesn't get disturbed. His vision is very, very vast. And that's why he can understand other people. And he has sympathy for other people too. See, we get very kind of irritable with people, no? Like, hey, how come they don't understand this? He knows they don't understand, And then we saw, you may not remember, but in chapter 3, there was a whole section where Krishna Bhagwan mentions to Arjuna how a leader should behave. Leader should not go and tell everybody, hey, you all are wrong. Only I know what to do. Come follow me. कोई नहीं सुनेगा उसका. He has to be very compassionate. He has to understand their point of view. He has to start doing what they are doing, but show them on the path while doing that, So all of that comes under that. That's how this person is. He is very smart. Cunning is a very negative word, so we don't want, not that way. Compassionately smart. Because like you said, he sees the oneness. It's like, the best example is my own body. If one organ is not working properly, all the rest come to its rescue to help.
Yeah.
So that's how this person looks at the whole cosmos, that if something is wrong, he doesn't think that something is wrong with somebody else. He thinks something is wrong with me. I got to fix it. That's how it is. Yeah.
I mean, Umaji, I could see that in spirituality, in what we are discussing. But if I see something wrong, if actually I'm working somewhere else, in a company, in somewhere, I have to then correct that.
Oh, yes. They're not talking about don't correct.
But
What he was talking about, suppose, I'll give you in what context, because that's a good question. Suppose if I see something is horribly wrong with something, right?
How? Where do we see that horribly wrong? I mean, it depends upon what situation it is that I can go along with it and then correct that person, or I have to say,
No, that's what I'm telling you. I was going to go further with that example. So you have to be smart enough to know that, hey, suppose I have to go talk to my boss about this. Something is horribly wrong, and he's also involved with this wrong stuff. There could be a personality who listens to you, and then it's okay to go talk to him. But you already know the guy's not going to listen to you. Then you got to come up with a better strategy. Go with some evidence over there. That's called smartness. पर ये नहीं कि कुछ गलत है तो अपना झंडा लेके कहो तो फिर वो तुम्हारी सुनेगा ही नहीं. तो तुमको स्मार्ट होना चाहिए कि तुम अपना काम कैसे निकालो उससे. Because you should understand his psychology first. That's what that this person knows how to get the work done. Because जितने लोग saints and sages बड़े बड़े जो projects लेते हैं वो कोई easy project नहीं होता है उनका. शुरू में उनको तो बोलते हैं तुम पागल हो क्या, ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. And that's what people tell them. But they know how to tread the path. Because they know how to, get people involved and, work with different personalities and still get along, harmony, how to create harmony out of chaos, So there's a lot goes into this, a lot of contemplation we have to do about this. Yeah. Because हम लोग को ऐसा ना, मैं अधर्म का साथ नहीं देता, हम लोग बड़े बड़े सेंटेंस तो बोल देते हैं, but you know that in Mahabharat, after those guys started cheating and doing all bad, Krishna Bhagwan had to resort to some not so kosher thing also. Because he knew that the दुष्ट लोग जब एकदम दुष्टता पे उतर आते हैं तो उनको भी थोड़ा थोड़ा करना पड़ेगा. And that is okay to do because the goal is higher over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take one verse and sit the whole life on it because it explains everything.
There you got it. That's why every verse is a beauty here for sure, because there's so much packed in there. True. Okay. So any other burning question for? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Continuing the same idea and expressing how a man of wisdom is a man of all knowledge and all efficiency, Krishna declares.
So I was saying that he's going to tell about other couple of terms over there, and that will be the concluding verse. Next week we will do that. That's all he's telling you. These verses, 2 verses go together, but because we go so much in detail, I won't be able to do it today. We'll finish it next week. Okay. So maybe I'll close Bhagavad Gita here, and after we do the Taittiriya, if somebody still has a burning question, we can take it up at that time. Okay. सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.